The Spanish VTuber company known as Owozu is having an absolute meltdown. Let me start with the simpler of the two stories that is not Owozu's fault, and then we'll get into the big, very impactful drama later. So on December 29th of last year, the VTuber company Owozu posted that their VTuber talent Chessi faces a pretty extreme situation. At time of posting, it had gone on for 2 weeks that the channel had been disabled from receiving any income from bits or cheers, with no clear reason, cutting a source of income without prior notice. They've sent dozens of emails and they don't know what to do. And so they're asking their fans to basically spam Twitch support until they communicate. Which, let me just say, we're only 2 weeks into a months-long situation, and already this is unacceptable behavior from Twitch. Whatever is causing a hang-up for Twitch to not pay out their talents should take a matter of days at most to resolve. And the fact that they have to beg people to go and harass Twitch support on Twitter instead of just having a functioning customer service department is absolutely absurd. Mind you, we're only 2 weeks into this situation, and already this is a complete failure of their customer service system. And with the numerous revelations about how Twitch is not profitable and how they're absolutely slashing the amount of staff that they have, I feel like problems like this are only gonna get worse. And guess what? It does. As on January 9th, Owozu produces a official communication, which was helpfully translated by this Twitter user. And in this post they say since the beginning of December, their talent had their bits removed. Twitch claims that it reserves the right to limit or withdraw access to the services it deems appropriate, even without violating its terms of service and without the right to appeal within a period of 3 months. And this absolutely obtuse response from Twitch is forcing them to leave Twitch and go to YouTube and TikTok to continue their career. And then on January 19th, apparently after Twitch took away their ability to receive bits, and they started doing live streams on YouTube, Twitch's response was to just restrict all payments. They say, quote, "We are alerting you that we are withholding your payout until such time that you can successfully pass a verification process. This is designed for your account protection." Yes, sure, you're absolutely screwing over this content creator for weeks and weeks and weeks for their own protection. To repeat what I said earlier, because it still holds true all these weeks later, this is not something that should take more than a couple days to fix. If the problem was simply that you couldn't verify their identity, you could send a verification form for them to fill out, send back, you read it, you reinstate it. And not only are you blocking their ability to gain new revenue, you're also holding all current revenue until they pass this check. This is pretty absurd. Now, they do say that just yesterday I regained access by appealing. And honestly, thank God. However, if it were me, I would still completely abandon Twitch entirely if I were Chessi, because I would never put up with that kind of bullshit. I left Twitch ages ago. I saw the writing on the wall, I think like a year or two ago. Look, guys, I don't think YouTube is perfect. It's got a lot of problems, but it's less bad than Twitch in my eyes. And I went through a couple of the comments, and it's pretty universal that everyone in the know about this situation is saying something to the effect of, you can see the corruption and favoritism towards other people on Twitch. And multiple people are saying something to the effect that this is a losing game for Twitch, and because they're so incompetent, corrupt, and favoritist, they're bound to collapse. Now, I don't know if that's true, that's just what other people are saying. Now, in this situation, you might think that Owozu did everything they could, and they're a decent agency for doing everything they can to get their talents paid, right? So far, no real red flags about Owozu, right? Well, friends, unfortunately, despite tooth and nail fighting to get their talents paid, and by extension themselves paid, there's some skeletons in the closet at Owozu that we're gonna get into right now. So the next piece of this story happens on January 28th. Starts relatively unremarkably with them adding a new affiliated liver, Zero. Now, a VTuber agency that's largely specialized in having female talents, adding a male talent is almost never something to really turn anybody's head. Pretty common practice, no drama here. Or so you would think. As literally the very next day, we see this post from Owozu. We understand asking Owozu for public details about the situation of the creators. However, at their request, it has been requested to maintain private and direct communication individually. Owozu goes on to say that in less than a period of 24 hours, behavior contradictory to what was requested by the majority of them has been repeatedly, publicly, and notoriously seen. We continue to have conversations with them. We apologize to the public for the situation, and we will update you when relevant things occur. So it is genuinely mind-boggling as someone who's not really invested in this particular company or this side of VTubing to watch as a VTuber organization goes from debuting a talent on the 28th and by the 29th there's already drama that they need to apologize for. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of going through this process of understanding what happened as I'm going through these tweets in chronological order. So let's piece together exactly what happened. Now, almost immediately after this company makes this post, a VTuber by the name of Gift says that the talents have not had control of their own accounts for the last 24 hours. And that the fact that they haven't had control of their accounts appears obvious. Another account accusing them of doxing their talents and accusing them of being similar to Wactor. And as I was looking through trying to find who said what publicly to cause this response, I find this comment that says, "None of the girls made anything public, and even less so when we haven't had contact with them since Saturday. Something strange is happening, and they don't want to say it. Tell us the truth." And I feel like it can summarize the opinions of the comments section by this one post that simply says, there seems to be a civil war in the company, which yeah, definitely feels like that's the vibe. And then on the 30th, literally the next day, their new affiliated liver Zero has, quote, completely separated from Owozu. We wish the creator the best and respect his freedom to do whatever he wants with his networks and character from now on. Which, holy shit, how do you get hired and fired in 2 days, bro? What did you do? When they ask how long Zero lasted, he only lasted 7 minutes. And according to this commenter, he has been accused of harassing his colleagues, grooming minors, and firing himself after becoming a member of his own company in a completely schizophrenic and fatherless behavior. Just Drakeout, the guy who sells the most smoke and disgusting Hispanic VTubing. So apparently, the VTuber Zero is a content creator who also goes by the name Drakeout and has been accused of doing some pretty heinous shit. Now, because Zero, aka Drakeout, became a member of the company as well as becoming a talent, the fact that he's leaving the company feels a little bit like him firing himself. As this person puts it, it's literally this scene from Spider-Man, which if you remember, the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn were the same person the entire time. Norman Osborn was just mentally ill. Now, I have to admit, it is a little bit difficult to kind of follow along with what exactly is happening, because some people say he joined the company, whereas other translations say he was a founder of the company. And they're wondering how the hell someone who is a quote-unquote founder of the company also disengages from the company. And it's really hard to get a clear answer because a lot of the large text that is explaining what's happening is often an image of Spanish text, and I can't read Spanish. Or if it is a large message that can be translated, the translation isn't particularly great. So it's kind of hard to get an exact picture of what exactly happened. But Zero is not the only person to leave Owozu, as the content creator Max has also completely separated from Owozu, as has the creator known as Emikukis? I'm gonna be real with you guys, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Emikukis? I don't know. But the point is, after Zero left, it seems like multiple other people also quit the exact same day. This guy became a VTuber, fired himself, and everybody around him quit. Now, one of the talents at this company, who has since rebranded to the word nymph with like 4 vowels immediately afterwards, and I don't know how to pronounce that. So I'm just going to call them Nymph. But Nymph goes on to say, as many people know or assumed, Drakeout, aka Zero, had me blacklisted from Owozu. Because of their tantrums, I lost contacts and friendships. But I kept quiet because I didn't want to hurt Owozu's talents since they were never to blame for anything. I knew he was a terrible person and I preferred to keep it to myself. At the time we shared a beautiful friendship, or that's what I thought, until he said something that made me open my eyes. When he saw that I wanted to start my own project, his reaction was to tell me, instead of playing around with your own agency, you should be in Owozu. There I understood he never saw me as an equal. My project was a game for him, a whim. I was just another name with numbers that he could add to his list of talents. It's a good thing I preferred to play, because now I know that under his tutelage, I would have suffered nothing but abuse. It's a shame the girls had to put up with you for so long, and this didn't come to light much sooner. You don't know the peace I feel in my heart to finally be able to say something. For him, people are numbers. For him, we are nothing more than pieces to use and complete the puzzle of his putrid agency with abusive methods and many unresolved issues. We are fucking people. And y'all, I don't speak a word of Spanish, but I 100% agree with this meme. It really, I feel like this perfectly represents exactly what happened. Imagine being a fan of the talents at this agency and you just walk onto Twitter one day and see the entire thing is in absolute chaos. Everything is in flames. Like, I know I probably shouldn't be laughing because it was clearly terrible, but it's hard not to laugh at the absurdity of how quickly everything crumbled. Now, Drakeout, aka Zero, did speak on the situation, and I'm going to read what he has to say right now, because there is no one's word I want to hear more than the person at the very center of this controversy. And according to Google Translate, he says, well, they took advantage of the issue and called me a martyr with things that were not mine, and now suddenly I am the cause of all the VTubers' problems. Or to put it another way, he feels like none of these problems are his fault, but he's being martyred and accused as a scapegoat for all of their troubles. And I feel like this next paragraph is really suffering from Google Translate, but I'm just gonna highlight parts that I do understand. I received some apologies because at no time did they want to blame me. It will not affect me due to the fact that my networks are out. I only use them to distract myself. And many times I disconnected for months on study topics. So I think what he's trying to communicate is that this entire project was nothing but a hobby. He doesn't care. None of this is his problem or his fault. He also says, I'm no longer going to help people grow without getting paid, which I believe is confirmation that yes, he did work for the company and was in a position to try and help these talents, and I find it interesting that he says he never got paid for his work. Then he's told he's the source of everyone's problems when he didn't even make any money. And it seems to be the meme in the quote retweets to just send a gif, a metaphor if you will, of Drakeout washing his hands of the agency and talking about how typical it is that as soon as someone encounters drama, they just immediately wash their hands and leave. And the final quote retweet that I will read out is, point number 1, the girls say that you made their lives impossible with psychological abuse. You are the one who spoke to them directly, so don't say you don't know them. And lastly, are those apologies here among us? If that's the case, why don't we see any of these apologies? Because if you remember, in his statement, he claims that the girls apologized to him for how they treated him. But I have looked and looked and looked and looked. I don't see any apologies from these girls. I just see more accusations, more pain, and more anger. Now, even though I typically don't get involved in obtuse, vague, obfuscated, he said, she said arguments, because I don't like picking sides and I don't like parsing through complex drama, in this case, I am relatively confident that Drakeout, aka Zero, has to be the root of this issue. I cannot imagine that he is not guilty of at least some of the abuses he's been accused of. Now, this tweeter does go on to say in their thread that this clearly was a source of money for you. The social networks benefited you. You were the manager of a lot of VTubers. It was clearly not a source of training for you. You used it partly to live. Now, if you remember in his statement, he claims he made no money, but people are saying that's a lie. And a rebranded former talent having this to say: what we can do now is support the girls and ensure justice is done for all the abuse that they suffered. To which this commenter responded, who's gonna burn down the Owozu offices? Now, another rebranded talent makes the accusation that the talents have uploaded a video to YouTube criticizing him and that he copyright striked their channels. Raccoon is saying, don't put the logo of Owozu in your thumbnail because they're just going to copyright strike your video. So I'm going to take that advice and not put the Owozu thumbnail in this video because I don't want to get copyright struck. Raccoon also posted a screenshot that shows that she is owed over $3,000. However, apparently Owozu is asking for reimbursement of all of their Ko-fi donations that were directed towards the expenses of her operation and that of her cat. They know perfectly well the vulnerable situation I find myself in, and this is the last straw. This is just one proof of many that these people are very, very evil and they only seek to do harm. Raccoon going on to say, I'm crying with rage. At the beginning, they didn't want to let me do crowdfunding or commissions or anything. I had to beg them to give me permission to do one, and now they want to take everything away from me, knowing that due to my mental illness, I couldn't work for 2 months, November and December. Another talent going on to say, this is the last straw. I have heard Raccoon cry when he was trying to stay strong for everyone, and knowing that we are in a vulnerable situation, they try to take money away from him for essential expenses that were donations from the community. Thank you for wishing us the best. And here you have Nene signing off as Rosita, so that we all know that this is a rebranded Owozu talent. Now, another staff member who goes by the name Misra VT did comment on the situation as well. And he goes on to say, right now we are negotiating privately with all of the girls through their respective emails. These responses have their delays since they require an analysis of all the contexts, and many require responses in extremely short times. But in these circumstances, it's simply not possible because they've chosen to communicate by the mail through legal advisors unilaterally, and many without requesting another means of contact. So what he's saying is, the girls are demanding responses from him, but he can't respond to them quickly because he has to go through their lawyers, and he just wants to talk to them directly. He then goes on to say, unfortunately for my part, I cannot do much since I do not have the knowledge to carry out the situation myself. In other words, he doesn't know how to interact with lawyers and he's overwhelmed. He says, the only thing I can promise you at the moment is that this will not become a W in the face of leaking the girls' personal data. It was never our intention to reach the point of that nature. I can't comment much more since that would simply imply breaking different confidentiality agreements, which at least I am respecting, which to me implies that there's a lot of people completely violating their NDAs, which I have to imagine is the case given everything we've seen and heard from the girls complaining about their time at the company. To which the community has responded, I don't have the ability to fix it, so I wash my hands and do nothing to fix my messes. Starts playing Pal World. Which, it's not funny, but it's funny, you know? It's like not even a little bit humorous, but fuck is this funny because it's just so absurd, you know? And I say all of this just to end with this meme that summarizes everything. Rip Owozu 2021 to 2024. Judging by the public reaction, they will not be missed. I wish nothing but success and happiness for all the talents that had to deal with the people in this agency and are struggling and failing to get justice for what happened to them. Now, it is worth mentioning that Research on this was particularly difficult. I don't speak the language, there's a lot of people involved, and this is not an agency I have been following, so I really have no context. So if anyone has any relevant details that I missed in this video, I imagine there are plenty, feel free to leave them in the comments down below so everyone can get full context. And if I said anything that was incorrect, I fully apologize. Feel free to leave any corrections in the comments section down below. I get the feeling that there's going to be a couple eyes on this video who know more than I do and are going to be intent on making sure the truth gets out. That is all I have for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. Oh man, fuck Owozu, dude. Damn.